The courtroom was buzzing with anticipation. Journalists, legal analysts, and curious onlookers crowded the benches, all waiting for what they assumed would be a routine corporate lawsuit. But little did they know, today wasn't just another court session. Today, it was Elon Musk versus the Federal Regulatory Commission, and the stakes were massive. Billions of dollars, business autonomy, and the very future of regulatory control over the tech industry. At the judge's bench sat Judge Ronald Beckett, a seasoned veteran of the legal system known for his no-nonsense attitude. As Musk entered the room, the judge leaned back, studying the defendant. Elon Musk, billionaire innovator, CEO of Tesla and SpaceX, sat casually at the defendant's table. No fancy lawyers at his side, no team of elite attorneys whispering in his ear. Musk was representing himself. Judge Beckett, suppressing a smirk, addressed Musk. "Mr. Musk, are you sure you don't want legal counsel? This is a highly technical case." The courtroom hummed with laughter as many thought this was yet another display of Musk's famous arrogance. But Musk didn't flinch. With a simple tilt of his head, he responded calmly, "I think I'll manage." Prosecution attorney Thomas Langford, a seasoned corporate litigator, exchanged a knowing glance with his colleagues. To them, it was almost laughable that Musk, someone known for pushing boundaries, would face the full force of government attorneys without help. But it wasn't long before they realized they'd underestimated him. Langford stood, his voice booming with confidence as he began his opening argument. "Ladies and gentlemen, we are here today because Mr. Musk believes he is above regulation. He thinks his companies can operate without oversight. The law is the law. No one is exempt." Musk sat motionless, arms folded. "Mr. Musk, your response?" the judge asked. Musk rose slowly, adjusting his blazer, his voice calm yet powerful. "Your Honor, I'm not here because I think I'm above the law. I'm here because I believe the law should serve the people, not the other way around. When regulations are used to stifle innovation, we have a problem." The room went silent as Musk's words sank in. He continued, pointing out that the laws his companies were accused of violating were written decades ago for industries that had barely evolved. "I'm not ignoring the law," Musk declared. "I'm challenging whether it still serves its purpose." Judge Beckett raised an eyebrow. "That sounds like a legislative argument, Mr. Musk. This is a courtroom." Musk shrugged. "Let's talk facts." As Langford scoffed, Musk's focus turned to the facts. He pointed out that the regulations his companies were accused of violating were outdated, written for technologies that no longer applied. "We're not violating laws," Musk asserted. "We're operating beyond them." The tension in the room thickened as Langford's smug confidence began to waver. Musk had turned the tables. Langford, still attempting to maintain control, presented evidence from Tesla's engineers, an email referencing autopilot failures. But Musk didn't flinch. "Context is everything," he said, calmly explaining that the so-called failures were minor calibration issues in a beta program, easily fixed through innovation. "When we make mistakes, we fix them fast," Musk explained. "That's how innovation works." Langford's rebuttal about Tesla's alleged disregard for federal regulations didn't land. Musk had already countered with a convincing argument. "If you want to see real progress, you have to understand that innovation doesn't happen inside a static framework." Then came the bombshell. Musk turned to the screen, revealing an internal memo from the regulatory agency involved in Tesla's audit. It was the government's own document admitting that their evaluation methods didn't work for Tesla's energy technology. "This is your own evidence," Musk pointed out. "The evaluation didn't apply to our system." But instead of adjusting, they pushed forward with false claims. Langford, cornered and unable to respond, had no choice but to shift gears. He turned to a new set of documents, evidence from Tesla's energy sector audits. The report seemed to be a strong case for the prosecution. But once again, Musk dismantled Langford's argument, stating that the government's request for data was based on flawed methodology that didn't apply to Tesla's systems. "Imagine judging your smartphone's battery life using a system designed for gasoline engines," Musk said. A few jurors nodded, their expressions shifting from skepticism to recognition. "That's how real progress works," Musk continued. "We don't stop for every minor issue. We test, we refine, and we move forward." The world can't wait for outdated systems to catch up. The room fell silent. Even Langford, now visibly frustrated, struggled to regain his composure. Judge Beckett finally leaned forward, breaking the tension. "Mr. Langford, do you have anything further?" Langford straightened his posture. "You've danced around the facts long enough, Mr. Musk," he said, glaring at Musk. "This is about your repeated defiance of authority." Musk remained unfazed. "Defiance?" he asked. "It's called challenging an outdated system. If the system isn't working, why follow it blindly?" The judge's pen tapped against the bench. "Gentlemen, let's keep this focused." And with that, Judge Beckett took control. "The reality is that the laws you're trying to apply don't account for the future. We're dealing with technology that's changing the world. The way we regulate needs to change too." As the case progressed, Musk had already flipped the narrative. The courtroom, which had been full of skepticism about his self-representation, now shifted in his favor. The judge's words confirmed it. This is a case of laws struggling to keep up with the technology. With his final words, Judge Beckett ruled in Musk's favor. The courtroom erupted in murmurs. Langford stood in stunned silence as the case was dismissed. "Mr. Musk," Judge Beckett said, turning to him, "you are dismissed with no findings of wrongdoing, but I strongly advise you to work with regulators moving forward." Musk stood and nodded. "Fair enough," he said, his voice calm and confident. As he walked out of the courtroom, reporters swarmed him. Cameras flashed. Questions about the ruling, the future of corporate regulation, and the shifting landscape of technology came at him from all sides. Musk paused, his expression unreadable. Then he simply said, "This wasn't about winning. It was about reality catching up to the future." The media buzzed with excitement. Headlines flooded the news cycle. Musk's victory wasn't just a legal one. It was a cultural shift. The system had been forced to adapt, and Musk had just shown the world that sometimes the future doesn't wait. And back in the courtroom, as Langford sat in stunned silence, he couldn't help but realize one thing: Musk had just changed the game. The media frenzy outside the courtroom continued as reporters swarmed around Elon Musk, bombarding him with questions about the ruling, the future of tech regulation, and how his victory could influence future cases. Cameras flashed, and microphones were shoved toward his face, but Musk remained calm and collected, almost eerily unfazed by the chaos. He took a moment to glance around, surveying the frenzy of reporters, and then he answered simply, "This wasn't about winning. It was about reality catching up to the future." The words seemed to echo in the stillness that followed, and within moments, the story was everywhere. Headlines dominated social media platforms and news outlets, with statements like, "Elon Musk wins landmark court case," "Judge questions U.S. regulatory system," and "Musk forces regulators to reassess corporate laws in shocking courtroom victory." The story spread like wildfire, capturing the attention of everyone from tech enthusiasts to legal experts. Some viewed Musk's victory as a sign that the legal system was too rigid and outdated to handle the pace of modern technology. Others were less enthusiastic, worrying about the implications it might have on future regulatory battles, especially for industries that were still evolving rapidly, like AI, space exploration, and renewable energy. Meanwhile, in Washington, D.C., lawmakers were already holding emergency meetings to discuss how to address the regulatory gaps exposed by Musk's case. Many wondered, could Musk's victory signal the need for new laws that would better account for technological advancements? Should there be a balance between innovation and accountability? And what did this mean for future corporate regulations? In Silicon Valley, tech CEOs were watching closely. Some were celebrating Musk's victory, feeling they could offer a shield to protect their own companies from overreach. Others, however, couldn't help but feel a sense of unease. If even Musk could be caught up in such a legal battle over outdated regulations, what did that mean for their own businesses in the future? Back at the courthouse, as the journalists slowly dispersed, one thing was clear. This wasn't just a win for Musk. It was a turning point in the ongoing conversation about the intersection of innovation, regulation, and the future of corporate power. The case had forced the legal system to confront a new reality, one where the technology of tomorrow often clashes with laws written for yesterday's world. Late that night, back in his office, Musk sat alone, staring at a screen filled with legal reports, headlines, and analyses of the case. He wasn't reading them, though. Instead, he exhaled slowly and turned his chair toward the window, his thoughts drifting to the city below. The lights blinked against the dark horizon, a stark reminder that progress never stops moving forward. Musk had won the case, but more importantly, he had set the stage for something bigger. This wasn't the end. It was just the beginning. And as the future unfolded, it would be up to innovators, regulators, and lawmakers alike to decide whether they would adapt or be left behind. The courtroom had been Musk's battleground, but the real war was just getting started. Would regulators evolve to keep pace with the groundbreaking technologies Musk and others were developing, or would they remain shackled to outdated systems? Only time would tell, but one thing was certain: Musk had proven that the world wasn't going to wait for the law to catch up. And in that moment, he had reminded everyone watching, the future doesn't ask for permission, it makes its own rules. As Musk left the courtroom, flanked by security and walking towards his car, the media chaos behind him slowly quieted. But the battle over innovation, regulation, and progress was just beginning to heat up. What do you think? Was this victory for Musk truly a win for progress, or a dangerous precedent that could lead to unchecked corporate power? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and make sure to subscribe for more deep dives into the world of technology, law, and the power plays shaping our future.